Dear students, you are welcome in the Education Department at SHAHD Association. Our lesson today is The Legend of Rice. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more lessons and don't forget to activate the bell to stay notified. Our objectives are to read the legend correctly, to find out the meaning of the new vocabularies, to determine story elements, to write a summary. Before we start our lesson, can you tell me what can you see? What are they doing? Can you tell me what is your favorite food? For me, my favorite food is rice. Now let's start our lesson. The Legend of Rice. A long time ago, the grains of rice were huge. You only needed to eat one to be full. People did not even need to harvest the rice. When the rice was ripe, the grains fell off the stalks and rolled into the villages. Sometimes they rolled straight into the grain stores. Life was easy and people were happy. So what is the title of the legend? The Legend of Rice. Now what is the time of our story? A long time ago. Now notice. Rice were huge. And you only needed to eat one to be full. Let's continue. Then one year a woman saw that there was going to be a rich harvest of rice. She was a greedy woman and said to her husband, "We must build a bigger store to collect more rice." He obeyed his wife. He tore down the old store and began building a new one. One day, the rice was ripe, but the new store was not ready. The big grains of rice dropped off the stalks and rolled into the village. People began gathering the grains. The greedy woman got upset because she had no store for the rice. She struck a grain of rice and shouted angrily, "You should not have come yet. Our store is not ready. You should wait till we are ready for you." The rice broke into thousands of pieces. "From now on, we will wait in the fields until you come and get us," said the rice. Since that time, people have been harvesting the small grains of rice from the fields. So the main character of this story is the greedy woman. Now, the greedy woman asked her husband to build a bigger store. Why? To collect more rice. And her husband obeyed his wife. Now, what did he do? He tore down the old store and began building a new one. Then what happened? Then the rice was ripe one day, and the new store was not ready. So the greedy woman was angry and shouted angrily that "You should not have come yet. Our store is not ready." Then she struck a grain of rice. Now the rice broke into thousands of pieces. and from that time people have been harvesting the small grains of rice from the fields. Now let's start studying some new vocabularies. What do we mean by cultivate? To cultivate means to prepare land and grow crops on it. Grain. What do we mean by grain? A grain of wheat or rice is a seed from it. Huge. What do we mean by huge? Very big, large in amount. Let's continue.
Now, what do we mean by legend? A very old and popular story that may or may not be true. Ripe, ready to be picked and eaten. Stalk, trunks of a plant, a thin part. Store, a place where things are kept for future use.
If you want to write a summary of our story, first of all, you need to determine elements of a story. There are 5 basic elements of a story. The first one is the title. The title of our story is The Legend of Rice. The setting. We mean by setting the time and the place. The characters. What is the problem and the solution. Let's study them one by one. First of all, the title of our story is The Legend of Rice. Now, what do we mean by setting? Setting means the time and the place, when and where the story takes place. In our story, the time is a long time ago, and the place is in a village. Now, the characters. The characters may be people or animals. The people or animals the story is about. Here in our story, the main character is the greedy woman. The problem. The problem that characters face in a story or something they struggle with. Now here in our story, the problem was that the greedy woman did not finish building her store. So she can't store the grain of rice. Solution. How the conflict is solved or the answer to the problem. Here in our story, the rice broke into thousands of pieces of rice, and people have been harvesting the grains of rice from fields. Now, what is a summary? To summarize a story, you need to include the story elements, and you should include the setting, the main characters, the problem, and the solution. Use the big 5. What is the big 5? somebody, wanted, but, then, and so. What do we mean by that? Let's see. Someone means who is the character. The character in our story is the greedy woman. Wanted. What the character want? She wants to build a big store. What was the problem? The problem was that she did not finish building her store. So, how did the character try to solve the problem? She shouted angrily. Then what was the solution to the problem? The rice broke into thousands of pieces of rice, and people have been harvesting the grains of rice since that time. Now remember to use your own word when you want to write a summary, and keep it short. Tell the main idea for the beginning, middle, and end. Don't forget who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this lesson, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more, and don't forget to click the bell to get all the updates.